Jon Jones's name is carved deep into the history of mixed martial arts. Considered by many as the most naturally gifted fighter the UFC has ever seen, Jones's career was as controversial as it was dominant. From his meteoric rise through the light heavyweight division to his long-awaited move to heavyweight, Jones's legacy is a tapestry of brilliance, chaos, and a relentless will to win. His recent retirement, confirmed by UFC President Dana White, marks the end of an era, and the crowning of Tom Aspinall as the new heavyweight champion signifies a generational shift. But for anyone who followed MMA over the last 15 years, the story of Jon "Bones" Jones is unforgettable. Born on July 19, 1987 in Rochester, New York, Jonathan Dwight Jones grew up in a deeply religious household led by his father, a pastor. His two brothers, Arthur and Chandler, would go on to have successful careers in the NFL, while Jon took a different path, channeling his physical gifts into wrestling. In high school, he became a state champion wrestler, and it didn't take long before he found himself drawn to the growing world of mixed martial arts. With an 84.5-inch reach and an uncanny ability to adapt to any situation, Jon entered the professional MMA scene in 2008 and was fighting in the UFC within a matter of months. What happened next was unprecedented. At just 23 years old, Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history when he dismantled Mauricio Shogun Rua in 2011 to win the light heavyweight belt. His performance was surgical. Flashes of spinning elbows, unpredictable movement, and complete dominance over a veteran striker. That night wasn't just the beginning of a title reign, it was the dawn of a new era. Jones defended the light heavyweight title against a murderer's row of contenders: Quinton "Rampage" Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Alexander Gustafsson, and Daniel Cormier. Each fight was a new challenge, but Jones always found a way to win. Whether it was through brutal ground and pound, technical striking, or cage IQ that bordered on genius, he consistently outclassed elite competition. His 2013 battle with Gustafsson was a war that tested him like never before. But Jones showed heart and endurance, winning a close but unanimous decision in what became one of the greatest fights in UFC history. However, Jones's career wasn't just marked by brilliance in the octagon, it was also shadowed by controversy outside it. Arrests, failed drug tests, suspensions, and run-ins with the law painted a portrait of a man wrestling with his demons. In 2015, he was stripped of his title following a hit-and-run incident. Later, failed drug tests clouded his rematch with Cormier and led to more suspensions. For fans, it became a pattern, each triumphant return followed by a new fall from grace. But somehow, despite it all, Jones kept winning. Even as chaos swirled around him, his record inside the cage remained almost unblemished. Officially, his only loss came in 2009 via disqualification against Matt Hamill, a fight he was dominating before an illegal elbow led to a controversial call. Every other opponent failed to solve the puzzle that was Jon Jones. Whether he was out-wrestling Olympians, out-striking Muay Thai masters, or surviving 5-round wars, he proved time and time again that he was a generational talent. In 2020, Jones vacated his light heavyweight title and began preparing for a long-teased move to heavyweight. Fans waited, rumors swirled. His physical transformation took years, and the anticipation of his heavyweight debut reached fever pitch. Finally, in March 2023, Jon Jones returned after 3 years away to face Ciryl Gane for the vacant UFC heavyweight championship. In just over 2 minutes, he submitted Gane with ease. It was shocking, clinical, and emblematic of who Jones had always been. A man who could disappear, re-emerge, and instantly reclaim greatness. But injuries would once again halt his momentum. Scheduled to face Stipe Miocic in a blockbuster legacy fight, Jones suffered a torn pectoral muscle in training, forcing him out of action. While fans hoped for his return, the timeline became uncertain. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall seized the interim title, and a new heavyweight era began to take shape. On June 22, 2025, Dana White announced that Jon Jones had officially retired from mixed martial arts. The Miocic fight was off the table. The UFC would not wait. Tom Aspinall, with his youth, speed, and technical mastery, was crowned the new undisputed heavyweight champion. While the torch wasn't passed in the cage, it was clear that the Jones era had ended, and a new chapter was beginning. Jones' retirement marks the conclusion of one of the most complex legacies in sports history. Statistically, he holds one of the greatest records in MMA, 27 wins, 1 loss, and that single defeat being a DQ in a fight he was clearly winning. But beyond the numbers, Jon Jones was something rarer, an innovator. He brought a level of creativity and adaptability to the octagon that changed the sport. Fighters began studying him, mimicking his movements, and developing game plans around not being destroyed by his elbows, his kicks, or his wrestling. Yet Jon Jones also symbolizes the painful truth that greatness and self-destruction often coexist. He was a master of the fight game, but often his own worst enemy outside it. Fans loved him, feared for him, and sometimes resented the chaos he brought. Still, they never stopped watching, because no matter how much trouble surrounded him, when that cage door closed, he became something otherworldly. Beyond fighting, Jones also began to explore his faith and personal growth in later years. He opened a gym in Albuquerque, mentoring younger fighters and promoting discipline and mental strength. He spoke publicly about his past struggles, his efforts to change, and the toll fame had taken. For those who watched him grow from a teenage phenom into a battle-hardened veteran, these glimpses of introspection offered something new. A Jon Jones searching not just for titles, but for peace. For over a decade, Jon Jones was the final boss of MMA, a fighter no one could figure out, a champion who could disappear and come back just as deadly, a man who inspired awe and frustration in equal measure. His highs were among the sport's most unforgettable moments, his lows, reminders of how complex our heroes can be. Now, as the UFC looks to the future, with Tom Aspinall at the helm of the heavyweight division, the shadow of Jon Jones will still loom. Fighters will chase his records, commentators will invoke his name, fans will debate his status as the GOAT. And somewhere, beyond the spotlight, Jon Jones may finally find the peace that eluded him during his chaotic prime. His story isn't just one of victories and belts. It's a story about raw talent, pressure, mistakes, and redemption. In a sport built on combat, no one ever fought quite like Jon Jones. And maybe no one ever will again.